But we're in multifamily. Like, we're not doing brain surgery. We're helping people find a home. So I think the level of like risk is adequate to what we're doing, as long as we're, monitoring for housing and not putting in PII, which is, of course, a deep concern, and we're looking at bias. But by and large, looking to make an email, looking to create a resident event. Yeah. And here's the thing about Claude and ChatGPT, they can be a little bit yes and. The LLMs do try to kind of please you, especially Claude. Claude really feels like that entity wants to do a good job by you. But the trick is to challenge it and have it play the opposite.
That's so funny you said that. My brother was just talking about that's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He will have it prove his point, and then he's like, okay, now give me the opposite point of view.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the Digible Dudes Podcast. I'm David.
And I'm Nicole.
Nicole, this time we had Justin Jones on from Hyly with, I don't know, the best title we've had in a while, maybe ever.
The Multifamily AI guy.
Yeah, an AI
Super
Evangelist.
Cool.
Officially, his business card says AI Evangelist. It's very forward thinking of Hyly to give out that title. It was reminding me, do you remember at the post that Reed had wanted to give me this title, like the disruptor of...
I was going to say like the digital disruptor, or...
Yeah, I feel like it was like...
Director of digital...
Disruption.
Disruption.
That's what. Yeah. I was like, I know there's a few D's in here, and
stumbled on that one.
but I know that the word disruption's in there. And at the time, I had told Reed, I was like, because I was just sales at the time. I was like, Reed, that's a great title, sounds super cool, but I don't think that title. Like, I think I'd be a dead man walking if I'm that title. Like, when we start cutting costs, people are gonna go through like the roster, and they're gonna be like, what is this noise? Like, yeah, get this out of here. So I was like, I was so risk averse. I was like, no. But that also would have been cool to be like, previously my title was. I should just make myself a business card now. Yeah. Anyways, so Justin's got a great title, and it was a great conversation.
Great conversation. I love also when he talked about the title, because I think it's been about a year now for him that he has been in the role. He related it to like kind of wearing the suit before putting, or like filling the suit, basically growing into the title.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, basically he openly said this in the conversation, but he was like, if you put on the hat, you will then have, it makes you basically assume the character, and then you have this thing to live up to. So it's almost like this way of like making yourself jump when maybe you would have been like cautious before. And he thinks it's beneficial for many people to just start doing something like that.
And now that he's wearing the shoes for a while, the shoes have gotten bigger. So
yeah, he said they've gotten bigger and morphed.
Yeah, no, it was a great conversation. He talked a lot about the human aspect of AI and a lot of work around mindset and leadership, and referenced some really great books and frameworks.
I was actually thinking during the conversation, I was like, I don't know if I've met another person like if besides like Reed or myself that's referencing as much material from other people. I was like, I'm having trouble keeping up because I knew half the stuff, and then I was like, shoot, half the stuff I don't know.
I wanted to like write a lot of it down, but I'm like, I know we're recording video. Can I take notes? It was that good. So.
Yeah, he had really good. I mean, obviously, we're a big fan of Simon Sinek. He talked about Simon Sinek and finding your why, and that other book. It was like
Human and plus Machine.
Yeah, that sounds super fascinating. Basically, like how to start working with this new machine, like the AIs, and this new environment that we're in. Sounds super beneficial now to help give yourself some peace. You know, that like as far as how. You know, humans are very averse to change, and things are changing. Feels like it's accelerating. They're changing more rapidly as time goes on. So just to give yourself some peace and don't worry so much about the change. It'll work out. Just keep learning. Yeah, be curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, wide-ranging conversation and very entertaining. Justin's really good at like throwing in some fun, some jokes, and some things like that.
Yep. So some empathy, passion, dynamic.
Yeah. So
great combo. It was fun.
We think you guys will enjoy this. Okay, we're here with Justin. Justin, introduce yourself.
Hey there, everyone. My name is Justin Jones, and I am the AI Evangelist, Multifamily's AI guy. I work at Hyly, and I'm the founder of the Multifamily Q Space, an affinity group for queer folks and our allies in the multifamily industry.
Wow.
Amazing. I've got to ask how the Multifamily AI guy title came about.
Well, there's a common saying, when you wear the outfit, you're a cowboy. So Hyly approached me last year at the social media summit and says, hey, we're looking for this person who can go through, not talk about product, but simply talk about responsible AI usage, what it is, what's the why behind anything, what's the how and the what. Would you be down? I said, absolutely. Had I used a ton of AI before that? north. So I had to wear the outfit to become a cowboy. So my first week, I just put under my LinkedIn header the multifamily AI guy in order to say, you're drawing that line in the sand. Now you have to go fill the form, fill the boots, become an expert. And I just talked about that in the session that I did was go name an expert. It's one of my favorite calls to action. And if it's not you, go find that expert, make them a cowboy, give them the boots and let them go walk, because it'll further everyone's understanding, especially when you get behind someone who's an expert. I believe in experience as expertise, especially when it comes to utilizing this tool that is transforming our species and not just our business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, we're super excited to chat with you.
Thank you
For being here.
Yes.
Yeah, it has a ring to it. The AI guy. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. Was it? Oh man. Oh, I know what it is. Do you know Leo Laporte?
No.
You heard of that? So Leo Laporte originally was one of the guys on Tech TV, like back in like 2000, 2001, like when it was like, let's have a tech thing. And this is why I'm making the connection, because Leo Laporte has such a radio voice, even though he was a TV guy. Now he's doing like podcasting. But he sounds just like Robert Turnbull, who, previously a Better Bot. And I always give Robert hell. I'm like, Robert, I just think of you as Leo because I know Leo's voice so well. But Leo Laporte always called himself like the tech guy or whatever. And I was like, it's got such a ring to it. But you're right, because I just love that idea of like you have to wear the outfit once you put it on. So now that it's been, I guess, just over a year since you put on this outfit, these boots, do you feel like you fill the boots yet? Or
imagine the boots keep getting bigger and then changing shape. But no matter where these boots be going, the biggest thing that I learned from like even talking to Mark Matthew from Venn, from reading this book by Paul Daughtry, Human Plus Machine, it's that mindset is actually right now P1 priority. Before anything else, Mark at Venn talks about culture. He led AI transformation at Salesforce. And if there's the one thing I learned, and I've now gotten, luxury. I've been asked to do talks because I'm kind of animated dude. With maintenance folks, with marketing folks, with on-site folks, with C-suite executives, with some of the NMHC top 50. And when I start with mindset, it unlocks everything. But if you don't start with mindset, you've unlocked nothing. So if anything, this past year, if I've just been dedicated to being, and this is my mission statement, the brightest light that guides multifamily to thrive in our AI era, I've done my job. And I would panic. And I reach out to mentors like Laurel Zacher or Daniel Polino, especially Daniel. Daniel talked me off a ledge a couple of times. I'm like, I'm worried. What if I say something wrong? He's like, so you're not 60 minutes. Go forth, teach them what they need to know, translate it for them, be authentic, and do your job. And so a year now into it, I feel like I have gotten to make an impact, and people are utilizing the tools, and people are finding expertise in their work and expanding their work, but also contracting it because they're not doing as much busy work. They're becoming more human.
I love that. I mean, you talk a lot about like the human and AI emergence and blending together. And I think technology is at the center of it. Is like, it's always people. Yeah. And so having that mindset and being able to like be on the forefront of change and being innovative, it is such a mindset shift. So I love the concept of like everything starts with mindset.
And everything starts with people. Like start with people, not product. Right?
Yeah.
How's it going to help us be more human in our very human jobs? Is it bringing back our humanity on site? Is it bringing back our humanity inside operations? Because if you focus on the why, the human aspect, it's really hard to get it wrong. You have to wake up really early to screw that up. Yeah. Focus on that why. If it is humans, if it is, helping people find home, chosen family, if it is helping on-site folks be happier in their jobs, helping maintenance teams thrive with their problem solving and empathy, which is what they told me they wanted to focus on in the advent of AI, it changes them from being mechanical to emotional and spiritual in their work. And I do believe AI can help us find that. There's a term techno-optimist, and I'd say I'm verging on that. Comes from Mark Andreessen. Like, it gets a little intense that technology will save us all. Sure, why not? But I'm definitely on the optimist side as opposed to the pessimist side. I am usually an early adopter, going back to your question, man, which is like, though I hadn't used AI a lot, I am particularly tech forward. And I've been tech forward specifically in multifamily my entire career because I do believe tech will help more people find home, which is very deeply important to me.
Yeah. I remember that. I think we first met like 2-3 years ago. I think you were at Zumper at the time.
Yes, sir.
And you felt like at the time you were still, you were very forward facing, like even beyond like what products you had available to you then, and you were curious and wanted to know more about other things besides just what was on the SKU sheet. What when you talk about mindset shift, do you have to adapt that to the like maintenance versus leasing agent, or is there just one sort of like, it's kind of like when people talk about growth mindset or like an abundance mindset? Mm-hmm. Is there one particular sort of mindset that you would like this industry to quickly shift towards?
There's an optimization mindset, which might be a bit V2. But there, I would say the start is the WIFM mindset.
Oh,
what's in it for me?
Okay.
And the issue I'm finding when I talk is the hand raise is it going to take my job? Is it going to take my job? Is it going to take my job? And you have to answer that. But if you're starting with people, though there might be some job displacement, there's also job compression, which will allow people to specialize in skills that they wouldn't have had before because you're compressing away that noise, that you're oh my gosh, Lindsay Duffy from Asset Living says this, automate the noise. And I'm like, yes, queen, slay.
Yeah.
But the mindset of wanting to automate the noise or to optimize has to come in, well, okay, when I optimize it, when I automate it, do I lose my job? What's in it for me? And then it's our job as C-suite, our job as leaders from the top down to say, we're encouraging you to do this. We're encouraging you to automate because we want to open it up to your job to being bigger and better and more human. Conversely, if the top-down approach is important for that validation to, the invitation to dance. But this cool thing happened. I was talking at the PAA, and this young gentleman walks up after my talk, after I proved that AI can help him make his job more interesting. He had this really interesting idea. It was around like the 4-day work week, and I'm sitting there going, good luck, but hey, let's find out. We go into Claude, we help consolidate his ideas, and then I copy and paste from Claude into Gamma, and we have an entire presentation done. This took us all of 15 minutes, and there's this boy, he's maybe 20 years old, with his ideas manifest. And imagine if he really sits on that and iterates that and really looks around him and brings in insights from his everyday life and then is able to package it in a way and present it to management.
Yeah.
Gosh, that could be $1 million idea.
That's huge.
That came from this boy who's never been asked. Let's say, what if he wasn't a native English speaker? Let's say he's, not a visual person. It's unlocking that momentum of the $1 million idea.
Yeah.
I think it took us 4 years to build that presentation.
Yeah.
we went to a 4-day work week like in 22 maybe?
21.
Oh, 21. But it still took us like 4 years to like build and get the data and convince ourselves, and it was a nightmare. So to be able to do it in like 15 minutes,
it's cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then like maybe to help you even have like, okay, and how should I stage into this? Because we debated that for months. And then it's like how do you prove value that it actually, like, how should we be measuring this thing? It's like to be able to spar with Claude in this case, I guess, to try to get that information would have been so helpful because there was not a lot of material when we were trying to move to it for us to work off of.
And here's the thing about Claude and ChatGPT, they can be a little bit yes and. The LLMs do try to kind of please you, especially Claude. Claude really feels like that entity who wants to do a good job by you. But the trick is to challenge it and have it play the opposite.
That's so funny you said that. My brother was just talking about that's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He will have it prove his point, and then he's like, okay, now give me the opposite point of view.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did have ChatGPT read me for filth, and I have it in my ChatGPT, and it was extremely painful to read. But it unlocked a few things. I mean, it's all weights, right? And it's all contexts, and it's this lowercase t truth, but it takes a human to make it capital T truth. I think. Lowercase t truth, it's going to pull from, a Digible blog. It's going to pull from a Resi blog, a Hyly blog. But to synthesize that data and turn it into capital T truth is like what y'all did to get to the 4-day work week. It still takes that human element. Yeah. Because, man, LLMs are getting really good at fibbing these days, like hallucinating. Because they're so willing to please, they're getting more and more adept how to make falsehoods seem really, really accurate. And when you're not a domain authority, like I wasn't when I first started in AI, I had to go in Claude, double check it in ChatGPT, go into Google, look at summaries, but then deep dive, and go into deep research, is what they call it now, but in Perplexity. And even Perplexity fibbed.
Yeah, bad information. We were talking about that on an earlier conversation, but it's kind of like when you first, before I trusted the Google results, I'd have like shoot, let me click on 12 of these links actually.
Yeah.
And I'll go read each of them myself to then see like, okay, do I believe this one blog article or whatever? And we were talking about how like it would be nice to have like an agent or something that can go automatically and do those 3 for you and compare them. If they all have similar responses, then you're like, okay, that's good enough. It's like 3 agents, 100% confirmation or whatever, I'll take it. But right now you have to manually go, as far as I know. I mean, maybe you could set up somebody like Manus or something to go do that for each of them and bring it back and compare. But yeah, it's time consuming.
But we're in multifamily. Like, we're not doing brain surgery. We're helping people find a home. So I think the level of like risk is adequate to what we're doing, as long as we're, monitoring for housing and not putting in PII, which is, of course, a deep concern, and we're looking at bias. But by and large, looking to make an email, looking to create a resident event. Yeah. A woman actually asked me, it's so funny, she asked, she's like, she lives here in SoCal. She's got properties in Seattle market. She doesn't live there. How do I market them? How do I know it's true? And I said, put a human in the loop. Ask your on-site. Validate this for me. Is this it? Or do some Google searching, but validate it. But keep a human in the loop. Mm-hmm. It can't be that wrong. Like, it is the internet. Like, and you can Google search if that pizza parlor has 5 stars.
Yeah.
If they have anchovy pizza.
Totally.
It's there.
Yeah. Well, I know part of your session was about like building AI campaigns in marketing. Mm-hmm. Do you have a creative or fun, or what's your most like fun example that you've seen where people actually make it real and tangible?
I've taken stuff to market. This entire evangelism journey, being an evangelist, I started in Claude. Claude helped me build my why. Helped me build all the KPIs that I had. How can I create engagement? How can I do business development? How can I create awareness? Right? Those are my 3 tiers of how I can make impact for my business. Mm-hmm. Because Munish, my founder, he knows the profound impact that education can have. But how the heck do you measure it? How do you know what Justin's really doing? How do I measure being on a podcast? So I utilized it to plan my objectives, see what we had at Hyly, see what others were doing that maybe there was some blank space, and execute on being an AI evangelist. And did it change? Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I do almost a different thing now, but my why is still the same. Finding your why might be the great call to action I have for anyone listening. And go into ChatGPT, and if you're a B2B brand, look at your brand's positioning. Is that a why statement, or is that what you do and how you do it? This is all Simon Sinek work, by the way.
Yeah, Simon Sinek.
Yeah. If it's your personal why, find your personal why. If you're an on-site person listening right now, finding your why will help you get up in the morning. And ChatGPT and these LLMs are great at helping you experience and tighten your messaging on the why. And everything builds from there. Like, with the why, you can do anything.
Yeah, I love that. That's huge.
I wanted to go back. You mentioned Mark Andreessen earlier with the techno-optimist. It's similar to, like, Reid Hoffman. He's also very techno-optimist. But you said you weren't quite there. What was I didn't think I picked up on why you wouldn't say optimist.
He's pretty intense. I would say, and I talked to Munish, my founder, about this too. I got to remember what he said. Like a techno-realist. I'm one from the back to say that AI or technology is going to save the race. I'm maybe 1 or 2, 3 tiers that I have a bit of trepidation. I am a cautious, Karen in that way. I'm not a jump first necessarily, but I don't like directions, but I like to learn. I would say I'm a medium to early adopter-ish, but I do like a couple of people, lemmings, to jump off the mountain before I do.
Yeah.
And in that way, I'm deeply concerned about bias. I'm deeply concerned about synthetic data, which is the concept that, and this happened like early with ChatGPT. ChatGPT read all the internet. It's done. It read all the internet, but it wants more. Okay, then it went into like videos when it wasn't supposed to, or something like that. This is so I heard.
Yeah.
It goes in the videos. Okay, I learned all of that. The idea of synthetic data is now it knows all these things, it starts creating new truths. And so then machines are learning on this thing that's synthetic. It wasn't real. Yeah. Let's say first source, human-generated data. And then there's another layer. So here is this Princess and the Pea thing where if it was trained on pieces that were not written by people of color, pieces that were not written by people who are in the LGBTQI plus community, you can have deep bias in here in this Princess and the Pea and layers of mattresses, and it's almost Inception style. You'll never know where the crux of the issue was, but now it's capital T truth.
Yeah.
And not to wax poetic, but we do live in like what I would consider a post-fact world right now. So finding our way back to truth is one of the great journeys our generation of technologists and renters and humans, we have to find our way to truth. And that journey is a pain in the tush right now, especially with like Sora video, right? Pete Buttigieg was talking about video being our great truth teller. Well, now that's out because of the amazing AI video out there. So how do we find truth? That's why I'm not a complete technical optimist, because of my concern about bias and purpose.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hear you, and that's why it feels like there are some companies that try to like fix it, right, when they saw the outcome was wrong instead of fixing the data, as you're saying. And then there's some that are like, you just got to start over. It's kind of like I once had this guy, Jim, I worked with, and he was like, it's like you're building a brick wall, you're a little bit off, and you try to correct it. But at some point, you just have to knock the wall down and like start the bricks back over again, because it won't be straight.
The crazy thing about this, where we are, especially with AI and more guardrails being brought down for speed, we are concerned about safety versus speed, and we're about to be in the speed era of AI. We already are in the speed era. Talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence, safety is a concern. Knowledge is very, truth is important. Bias is really important. Fair housing is important. So what's great is you can train it on it. Like, that's all written down. It's fact. But it takes a great human, like the people listening, who are fair housing geniuses, to make sure it's accurate. So we can be careful with choices.
Have you ever, or what examples come to mind where maybe technology got it wrong and then we've had to overcorrect with more of the human side? I think that's just a balance to strike. Like, there's so many new technologies where it's like they either fail and then we'll still cross the middle. It's like, okay, let's go back to being more on it. So it's just that balance to strike it right, the right moment in time. But I think we all have those instances where there's a good story that comes out of like when it wasn't down.
Sure, like look at digital rent payments, or let's look at a 3D tour that didn't work at first, or let's look at an automation that didn't work. We're kind of specifically talking about generative AI right now as opposed to automations. But when an automation was breaking or not correctly, we've fixed it. As HubSpot's advanced, as Canva has advanced, we all learned to look at the tools and correct them as they went. If I look at rent payments back in the day, when we were trying to do digital rent payments, this industry was really reticent to it. Not everyone, but that was a really scary moment. And they were really concerned with missing rent payments. Oh my God. Okay, let's go back one farther. Going from the apartment guide, like Prince, to the internet. No, surely not no. And then when I joined RadPad in 2014, I was like, yeah, now we're going to have mobile rental marketplaces. Oh, hell no, no. I need wet signature, firm handshake. No one's going to do this in 2020. Oh no, they're not going to rent signups. Yeah. Every time we think we found a problem, and this is where I'm a technical optimist in a way, I do believe that technology evolves. We're just going to tweak and fix as we go. If we miss a rent payment, if the 3D tour is inaccurate, it took a human to see that. And it takes the relationship you have with your vendor partners to say, no, or why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? And your vendor partners will solve people there with an answer that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you, ask it again. Torture us. That's what I'm saying. Torture your vendors so you understand it. When you understand it and you use the tool better, you're a better client for us.
Yeah. You can better feedback. You can help iterate, test, make it better.
You can sell it to your clients better. You can say, we're utilizing Hyly for data fabric. I understand what the talking points are. This is something you need to invest in because I understand what it is. But until you understand data fabric, come torture us. Make you understand. Find a way to tell that story.
What when you said the number one thing you have to get people in at the beginning is let's take my job.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way you found to break through to get them to maybe have some of this techno realism?
There's a man. I wish I could. There's a World Economic Forum piece of data that I used in a talk that you think I have memorized that did account for job loss, but it also accounts for job creation. So in our work, multifamily, I think we're looking at the opportunity of specialization uniquely, which is cool. I also think that centralization is cause more job loss than AI. But the concept really is kind of irreplaceable in some aspect. Now, we're sitting here 3 knowledge workers, right? None of us are talking right now using the drill at this time. So as knowledge workers, we have to realize it is our job in this sense to what I brought up this week, make better toast. So the idea is that making toast, now we have a toaster. Why in God's name would you not use a toaster to make toast unless you're doing it on the super cool you can't be? The concept is we have a nice Breville toaster, which allowed us to make better toast. So now we have this AI thing. And if our job requires toast making, we now have the ability to make better toast. And we have the ability to do it at scale. And we already know we're under-resourced and understaffed on-site and all the way up. I just think it's going to make our jobs a little bit more compressed. You're going to automate the noise. Someone who says, find a way to make better toast. If it's your job, go learn how to use AI and come back. It's not AI's going to take your job. It's the person who knows how to use AI. Right. Platitudes. You got it here from Justin Jones, a platitude in real time.
That's true. You gotta learn how to use them. And if you don't have the energy to do some of it, then at some point you will. Like parents, like not wanting to like, how do I use the right? You must have some curiosity, some mindset to like. But you don't have to be the first one. To kind of your point, Justin. Yeah, you don't have to be the very first one. Maybe.
I'm not going to be the knife in the toaster. I'll let someone else do that. But I'll be like, oh, look at them. I need not to do that. Look at how smart I am.
Yeah.
Also, don't be embarrassed. I remember it was a couple in, that was last week, that I used ChatGPT to write a presentation that I could accept it. And as I used it and delivered it to my boss, I was a little insecure that, did I cheat? No, I made better toast.
Yeah.
Did I cheat? No. I got my presentation down. It sounded like me. It was authentic. It was fact-checked. It was real. I got the work done. And now I can go focus on stuff that drives revenue. I also got stuff that's going to share our message and involve my Instagram.
So, you mentioned also the book earlier, like human.
Plus machine to Paul Daughtry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. What's could you give us like the short name?
Yes, and I just had it. Okay, so he goes a MELD format. And where we go from memory, I haven't talked about that. Mindset, experimentation, leadership, data, and skills. And that's how he breaks down the AI adoption. And there is that graph that I showed on the top that showed where it's an amazing graph. It's got like 5 skills on the right, 5 skills on the left. Those are human, 5 skills are machines. Human skills are empathy, creativity, whatever it is. It's doing a sparkly dance. And on the computer side, it's beep, beep, boop, boop, data. Stuff that it's just better than us. Okay? And then it's got this center section where humans are elevating machines and machines are elevating humans. And the things that humans can do and machines cannot do, they're working together to create a better piece of toast. And that's where it comes with the mindset. So people who are worried about job displacement and job loss, they realize, well, maybe if I should stop trying to be an analyst, sorry to all the analysts. Data analysts, maybe you should be scared. Everyone else, we're fine. Paralegals, maybe a little scared. But everyone else, we should be fine. How can I utilize this machine for me to be better at data, to be able to do this thing I do over here, data-driven? My sparkly dance is based upon this data that says if I do a pirouette and a fouette and a double turn and layout and the splits, that's going to get more engagement. Whatever I just said made sense to me almost as a dancer, but don't worry if that made no sense to you.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, there we go. That's what he talks about, so mindset. Experimentation. We talk a lot about experimentation. The Accenture study that I share, a small percentage of generative AI experiments actually get into full force institutional, but experimentation is important for us to see what works and what does not. Not every pilot's going to go through. Leadership is mindset, right? And experimentation, leadership, data, utilizing data, and then skills. Skills is up-leveling ourselves to do in this machine era, where it's a creative partner. It's not just a tool working beside us. It's intrinsic to our toast making. Maybe toast isn't the best one, but you get it right there.
Yeah, totally.
You gotta stick with it now, at least for this conversation.
Extended metaphor.
I'm almost seeing a world then in which, I mean, you just lay that out so beautifully of like, then humans, yes, understand how to use AI, but then you double down on the human skills, the empathy, the compassion, the empowerment, like things that we feel are essential, whether it's the leadership or to the integration of the technology and human aspect. And so I think if I'm listening, I can feel empowered by them. Like, okay, instead of feeling threatened or that I'm coming from a scarcity mindset on just looking at my jobs, like, well, what can I do to double down on the things that it cannot take? And how do I be a better human?
How can you be? I mean, that's how to be better. There's two ways I think to measure ROI because it's a bit trickier. And this is Alex Abernathy who's talking about this. He's going to see the tea leaves, maybe in automation, sure. Maybe in how many generative AIs how many the clicks, the leads, sure. He's going to look at ROI far, 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 far out of the funnel into resident reviews and sensitive references. Are renters happier? And I would add to that. And I challenge the folks that I work with, talk to your team. Did they feel a little bit of an alleviation of work or headspace? Did they feel like maybe they got an extra hour somewhere? Maybe. I think that's where we're going to find the gratification and the gratitude for these things being in place, where we see that, oh, every renter, every time I talk to them, oh, this renewal happened because of automation that felt human-like. Oh, this renter feels happy because there was great agentic AI in place to answer this maintenance request. That's where we're going to see it. And that's where we should see it, in renewals and retention and happiness and reviews. And the people who work on site able to be better humans.
Yeah, the hard thing for operators at that is they want to see some cost savings or something, right? Because I remember a number of years ago, we had someone on, or actually, I think he said this offline, so I will keep his name out of it. But basically, he's an owner, and he was like, hey, I'm paying for like 20 different technology AI tools. And like, where's my savings? Like, he's like, actually, my expenses have just increased. Not been, he's not recognizing any bottom line. So he was kind of like just taking a step back and saying, is this really worth it?
Yeah, so there is the idea of redundancy. That is something to bring up. And we are seeing that there is a bit of redundancy. Not all AI is created equal. I encourage people to go on a few AI first dates. Don't fall in love with the first one. I mean, I fell in love with Claude like you hauled that relationship. For all my queer listeners, yes, I did that. But now I'm casually saying ChatGPT. So that's on the individual. Let's look at the institution. Test, pilot. But look at redundancies and make sure you understand how it works, the results you want, and the cost you need. I think optimization as marketers is at hand with this amazing data we're getting. And this amazing ability to bring the data into a single fabric. So it tells a unique single source truth story, especially as marketers. And I've noticed that when marketers are starting to utilize some of the products that even we have in reporting, listen, we're just the truth teller, right? We're just taking all the data and bringing it into a place that they can see and they can iterate and optimize. If a great lead costs you $500, you still spend $500. You just spend $500 to make sure you're always getting that exact great lead. And great marketers know that it's not technically about reducing the marketing budget, it's about using it more smartest, as we say in the Greek. Seeing your strategies of fruition and then optimizing. And then actually, we talk about data fabric and data truth and truth. There will be a moment when all the center source of truthisms, the singular data fabric, will have to teach our marketers and our operators to say whoops, because sometimes the data is that they've been sharing with owners has been sometimes that inaccurate data is a security blanket to say, look at the marketing I do, which is okay. We got a CYA. We got to get on to the next decision. There will be a point, I think, before people go, oh, that's the truth. It's okay. You just didn't have the tools before, and we
yeah. I'm almost thinking too, like as you talk about redundancy and almost the cost and investment of AI and technology, like is it just becoming, I'll use your and Reed's word, table stakes of like doing business in this era of time? Like you have to be invested in AI, and maybe we're going to see savings long term. But I mean, I'm speaking from the Digible experience, it's like we invest in it, but then maybe we get some savings over here, and then another thing pops up. And so it's just kind of this constant like
chasing the growth. Yeah. Okay. So great point. All right. So this is what I ask folks to do, which is make a list of your problems and get an AI consortium together, a little AI think tank representing maintenance, operations, billing, you name it, from people who are from various backgrounds, right, of technology. And then you say, all right, let's list out the problems. Let's list out the solutions we have, and let's prioritize which ones do you want to do. That does help us figure out what AI to focus on first. Everything now has AI in it, so AI powered is about as groundbreaking as saying, I like chocolate. Like it's cool. Not all AI is created equal. Where is our data going? How is it learning? Now, here's something cool. This is something we are specifically working on at Hyly. It's the idea at Hyly of data fabric. And the concept is this. If we have a single center truth of data and a fabric that's bringing in all the information possible, there's the opportunity to start actually building the solutions internally. So instead of having to go to a vendor for some pretty simple solutions, marketing, let's say, builds a solution internally like a touring app. Then you charge your owner for that. And you build it internally. And now marketing is a revenue driver, not a cost. And not a cost. Essentially. Your data in place. Hell, you can engineer, you can vibe code all you want using Claude. There's a potential for you to start to build actual solutions internally. But your data has to be in place for that to work.
Yeah, super interesting. Well, have we missed anything else that you think is kind of essential, like as far as in these early days? Because I still view this as early days for at least multifamily when it comes to probably AI at large as early days. But yeah, is there anything else essential that you'd be telling people to think about for now?
Yeah, it's funny. I sometimes liken my job to like, I think I said this, like, wow, Justin taught us how to change the skin on our MySpace page. That's the equivalent of sometimes I feel, because look at us next year, I'll be like, you talked about prompting? Wow, you're so smart. Remember when we first got the iPhone and that the first app on there was like either the lighter or the beer? Okay, some of the stuff we're doing is the table stakes of lighter and beer app. The fact of the matter is we had to figure out how to juggle this thing in our, now it's an invention. So it's about experimentation, finding out where it fits in your everyday life as a person and as a profession. That's what we can do together in order to make sure we have AI literacy throughout our entire organization as individuals in this moment of transformation as a species, but also as a professional who wants to be elevated, who wants to be upskilled, who wants to make better toast.
Yeah.
But then go from there to like actually saving the world.
Seems to me that maybe that's where the L in your MELDS comes in, right? The leadership, because from the top, a lot of employees, it's sort of like, why does an organization lose its innovation or innovative muscle as it gets larger? And it's because many people believe it's because you become afraid to make mistakes. They're like, okay, I'm employee number 306, and if I mess up, they're gonna be like, they're the one that messed up my marketing campaign, and so then they need to be gone. It's their fault. So to me, that is about leadership saying, hey, we want to be more forward here. We want to lean forward, but not be the first. So please test things. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you call them out and tell us what you've now learned from it. So like the organization, like, hey, we tried this thing, messed up this ad copy or whatever, and therefore that's okay. We'll call it like grace versus everyone sitting back for the longest. It's kind of like, took a long time for revenue management to really become ubiquitous. And I felt that was because people were afraid of just like accepting what the machine said, right? So people were really sitting back when it seemed like, why does the the QS quick service restaurant change prices dynamically, but we can't? Like that sounds weird. So would you agree with that, or would you push back?
I believe in the experimentation with this tool. It's easier to do with the individual. So individual LLMs, it gets a bit more challenging with the institutional, with like our vendor partners, but like great pilots and great transparency and great communication. Oh, the other thing that Alex brought up, which was great, Alex Abernathy from Massive Living, was the feedback loop. And he talks about resident reviews, yes, but where's that internal feedback loop? And that invitation to be transparent that you're not going to lose your joy over it. That's why CYA, cover your, is so important. In this economy, these tariffs, I'm the best marketer you've ever met. I'm not going to make a dang mistake. I need a job. Being gay is expensive. Being a human is expensive, right? So why would I risk? It's because people like my boss, Rob, and Manish, they said, go break the thing. Go tell us what we can do better. You're safe. We can translate that to our on-site teams. Go experiment. We put the automation in place. We should be, we have a little bit of time here. Go experiment in being more human. The other cool thing is write a handwritten letter. Sometimes the experimentation isn't so much about the automation, but what you do with the time you're not doing things wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a lot, like when we moved to like the 4-day work week of like for us, it was how can we be so efficient that we're giving employees time back in their day? And then also, how do we encourage them to do something meaningful with that time?
I love that.
And so we rolled out like the DEX program, the Digital Employee Experience, where they were sharing, oh, I'm volunteering on Fridays, or I'm getting this learning how to code, or whatever it was. Like share that so that it felt like we're using this time as humans to be more meaningful because technology has allowed us to be efficient. I think you nailed that point of like, let's use that time meaningfully versus just filling it with another widgets, another thing that eventually would be automated for you.
And our sweet on-site people, I call her Linda. She's worked on-site for years. She's got a smoking problem. She's earned it. She's single, and she has tribal knowledge. And it's going to be hard to pry that knowledge from humans. Or how are we utilizing Linda's knowledge in our knowledge base? How are we training people on? How are we scaling Linda?
Yeah.
You know, that's vital. But I love that you bring so much purpose to the work. And if you bring purpose back to Linda, she's been it, she's seen it all. For any human being to work on site for any amount of time, it's either just you lost a bet, you know, you're completely dissociating, or you have a great why. And that's what, though she smokes a lot, connect whatever you're trying to do to Linda's why. And she'll adopt that technology, train her how to use it, don't change it too much. And when Linda has to train a new leasing agent every freaking 5 weeks, if Linda connects it to their why, there's a higher likelihood they'll retain them and they'll sustain and want to adopt that technology that you, my friend vendors and marketing operations, went to great lengths to vet, to experiment with, to sign contracts with, to sell to your owners, and then put it on site. It'll have a less likelihood of dying on site. Because we all know on site is where the great intent goes to die, and it's no one's fault except the people we've not educated on how to use the technology for their why.
Well, Justin, this is great. Thank you. What if people want to connect with you, and then if they want to learn more about Hyly, what's the best ways?
Absolutely. I encourage anyone to find me on LinkedIn. It's like probably linkedin.com/official Justin Jones, but you can find me. I do this thing called the AI Exchange with Christy Fickert, a monthly just roundtable for people to come share ideas. So you're also encouraged there. And then for Hyly, you can find us on LinkedIn, also at Hyly.AI, where you can learn automation, of course. But I think the real cool call to action is working on our Halo site, this concept of a true data fabric, feeding in with our AI fabric and human intelligence, Linda's intelligence, to create multifamily intelligence fabric, something we can truly build upon and create more cohesiveness, more adoption of AI, and, you know, just make better text.
And you mentioned your other organization too.
The Multifamily Q Space. Yes, you can find us on LinkedIn. You have to request. And again, we encourage members of the community to join, but also allies. We are an open space for allies. We are a LinkedIn community right now. You can also find us usually at most major events where we'll do a gaggle with the concept about the Q Space. It's a lunch table where all are welcome, just so we can hold space with each other, see each other, share jobs, share concerns, and kind of give a moment to just say, hey, you're okay. And this is multifamily. The gals and the gays, welcome to multifamily. This is a place where you can go home, because I really do think calling something home is the why for our entire industry. And that's kind of why I work in tech.
Yeah, super inspiring.
Brought to you by the letter Y.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, y'all.